We're going to get into factoring in material costs to your quote and estimates. Now, material costs are going to be classified as anything that is a cost of sale item. These are materials, delivery, disposal, rentals, subcontractors, basically anything that is factored into that specific job, not something like an overhead expense, which gets factored into every job. It's something that's a part of your business for long term, or labor, where you're paying out labor for that specific job, man hours, whatever it may be. These are items that are specific to that one job that are either going to be installed and stayed on that job site, or a service that is provided to get those materials there or off the job site, whatever it may be. And we're going to mark up these material costs because we want to make sure that if anything goes wrong, minor things go wrong, we're covered a little bit when it comes to those materials. We also want to make sure that we're keeping a little bit more money on top of those materials in our pocket to add a little bit more profit into our pocket at the end of the day. If we do a good job and we estimate correctly and our measurements were correct, that, we get to keep all of this percentage markup. But why markup? To ensure that if we miscalculated anything, we're not going to be out that money. We've already covered ourselves with that markup amount. And this is something small. This is like maybe you're out 10 square feet or so of pavers, or whatever it may be, that you're out a very small amount. This is going to cover you with this material cost markup. If it's something larger, it's likely going to eat up into a little bit more than just your material markup. But these are for covering you with those minor mistakes. And if you add a warranty on any specific item, say you're a softscaper and you install plants and you have a warranty on those plants, and one of those plants dies or whatever it may be, this percentage markup is going to cover you a little bit for that warranty that you offer on top of it. So maybe you have you've kept records and a certain percent of these plants that you install end up dying for whatever reason it might be. That you're going to want to mark up your material cost to be able to cover that certain percentage of plants that die over a certain time, to make sure that you are not out that money in the long run. And it's going to add profit into your pocket at the end of the day if everything went right with your estimating, with your quoting. And it's a good way to also incentivize your crew or your salesperson that's doing this. The percent markup, if they're not out, if they don't eat up into their percentage markup material costs, that might be a good incentive to provide a bonus back based on that. Or it's a good way to also record these things to see how your crew is doing in terms of not wasting material, or your estimator in properly estimating material. So excellent way to keep records in terms of material cost markup. Now, we hear a lot of customer objections when it comes to material cost markup. And the main objection we hear is, I will supply the materials. And this is something that a lot of contractors will hear when they are just starting out, or whatever it may be. You still hear it when you're more established still, and the customer is of the mind that they'll save money when it comes to them supplying the materials. But it's important that you're in charge of the material ordering, and that you are the one in control of that. Because if it comes down to you needing more material, it's going to start this big argument between you and the customer, likely, of who's supposed to order that material, whose money is that coming out of, and so on, if it wasn't written into the contract. So it's always best that you are in control of everything that's happening on your job site, on your job. So it's important to be able to communicate that with your customer and let them know that it's just more of a headache for everyone involved. It's definitely more of a headache for the customer to be able to coordinate that. And at the end of the day, the cost of that markup is just included elsewhere on the job. Whether the customer is supplying the materials or whether you are, either way, the cost is included elsewhere. The price of the project is going to be the same whether the customer supplies the materials or not. It might be even more expensive if the customer was to supply the materials, depending on the way your numbers work out, or whatever you want to communicate this to your customer. You just want to make sure that you're in charge of the materials at the end of the day with every project, so that you are in control. If anything goes wrong, it's up to you to, instead of having to get on the phone quickly with the customer to order more materials or whatever it may be. You want to be the one in charge, and it's all about just building trust with your customer, communicating with your customer why it's important that you are the one that orders the materials, that you are the one in charge of ordering the materials. Now, maybe the customer has as somebody that they know that can supply the materials at a cheaper cost, and that's why they want to go along with it. Whatever you want to do with that is totally up to you in your business, however you want to deal with them. But it's all about building trust with your customer, having an open line of communication, and trying to understand these customer objections and how you can resolve them, because you want to be working with somebody that trusts you, and you want to be able to trust them. So this is beneficial for both parties. And that is the material cost portion of this unit. And if you want to ask us any questions about this, reach out to us on our social channels. We are at How to Hardscape everywhere, or contact at howtohardscape.com if you want to email us. And be sure to check out our budget and estimate spreadsheet. That's going to help you with this material cost estimating and making sure that your quotes and estimates are accurate.